All right, great. So welcome everybody. So let's make our way into child's pose. And in terms of props today, maybe just the two blocks and the cushion, just nothing too specific. Let's make our way there. I've got my little dog ready to go here. So finding your way to child's pose, it's totally fine if you want to take a different shape other than child's pose to get started, like laying on your back or seated is fine. We're just going to get centered. He's doing his shavasana here. Yeah. So if you are taking child's pose, you can do toes together, knees just as wide as you like them. And lately, I like a variation of child's pose with the arms out, palms together, and then the thumbs come to the upper back or the back of the neck. You just get a little bit more shoulder chest opening there. So feel free to take that. And then just take a couple of deep breaths. Start to settle into your practice. Just taking a moment to really mindfully let go of whatever's been going on for you today and focus on the here and now, which can include a lot of things. But trying to stay present, not so much with the thoughts that might be swirling around in your head, but the sensations in your body, your mood, and maybe there's an intention there, something in particular that you want to keep with you as we move through our practice today. And I will mention that it's a full moon right now as we're practicing, and it's a really good time to be practicing our flow because full moons are often a time of really releasing, completing certain cycles, letting go. And so it can help to move and breathe in order to move that process along. And those of you watching in the recording, it might feel really nice to do that in the next few days as the moon is beginning to wane again. We're kind of at the apex of that energy right now. So if you haven't already, let's start to find our Ujjayi pranayama, that little whispering sound at the back of the throat. Feeling a gentle connection to the core, which doesn't have to mean like a clenching or tensing, but just a connection. And you can stay here or begin to move. So we're going to kind of make our way up towards downward facing dog. So you can do that through hands and knees, through cat and cow. Just sort of see what you need. Maybe you want to come right up into downward dog, that's fine. I encourage you to close your eyes and just focus on the breath first. So the breath is really our priority in this practice. This is a moving meditation. It doesn't matter which of the poses you do, if you do any of the poses, okay? We're here to just really focus on our breath and let the body follow. So I'm just circling. You could be moving side to side. If you're in downward dog already, you could be pedaling at your heels. Just really saying hello to the body as it is, noticing what it might need. Full moons sometimes are a time when we need to really like move, get the energy out. Sometimes we feel a little sluggish. Either is fine, either is normal, just honoring what's true for you right now. Take 3 or 4 more breaths and then move up into standing forward bend. If you haven't already and you'd like to have some music, you're welcome to start that playlist if you haven't already. So eventually we're in standing forward bend. So I've got my feet hips distance apart, knees at least a little bit bent. You could be hanging down, see how that feels today. You could be resting elbows on bent knees. That's a little more supportive for the lower back. You could be swaying. And then when you're ready, roll up, gather belly in, lean back into the heels, and slowly curl to standing, letting your shoulders and head be the last to rise. And you're welcome to come up with a flat spine if that works better for you, of course. Just taking a moment at the top to do your fidgeting and adjusting as you need to or not. And just really finding your feet in the earth, on the land, in the ground. Just taking a moment to acknowledge your relationship with that land, the history of that land. And let's begin our flow. So next time you inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, dive to the earth. Lengthen halfway, draw your heart forward. And then step your right foot back and lower down your knee. Heart and hands rise. Inhale, nice and long through the sides of the waist. And then downward dog, connect the palms, step back. Come to plank on or off the knees. Let's lower all the way down for this first one. Point the toes on your inhale, low cobra, so lifting the chest just slightly. And then exhale back to your downward dog. Right leg rises to the sky on your inhale. Take your time and step that foot through. Back knee comes down, heart and hands rise. Inhale. Exhale to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale and melt. Bend your knees, rise all the way up. Exhale, dive all the way down. Generous bend to the knees. Lengthen, inhale. Left foot steps back. Inhale, rising up. Beautiful, downward dog. Plank pose, again, on or off the knees, lower down all the way, or maybe do a little push up and then pull your heart through to upward facing dog. Micro bend in the elbows there. Back to downward dog. Catch your inhale, left leg will rise to the sky. And step through. Inhale, rising up. Beautiful. Forward fold to the top of your mat. Lengthen. And melt. Bend the knees, rise all the way up. Hands to heart, exhale. Inhale again, rising up, staying with the flow, with the breath. Exhale, dive. Lengthen, fill the lungs. Right foot steps back. This could always be a high lunge if you prefer. Rising up. Beautiful. Downward dog through your vinyasa. Okay, so plank, little push up or all the way down. And then pull forward into your back bend, cobra, up dog, downward dog. Right leg rises to the sky just as high as you want. You can open the hips or not. Step through. High or low lunge. Beautiful. Forward fold. Lengthen. And melt. Bend the knees, rise all the way up. Dive all the way down. Exhale. Lengthen, draw forward. Left foot back. High or low. Beautiful. Downward dog through vinyasa. So feel free to use your knees here. Feel free to skip it altogether. What you need to do, okay? Pull back, bend. Downward dog. Left leg rises. Step it through. Helps to lean right to step that foot through the little tip. Heart and hands rise. Beautiful. And forward fold. Lengthen and melt. Bend the knees, rise all the way up. And then hands to heart and take a moment in standing just to breathe and feel, to fidget if you need to, or be still if that's where you're at. Okay, from here, let's inhale, then bend your knees, sweep your fingertips towards the floor and then reach them forward and up some amount. So it doesn't have to be all the way up. I just want you to feel a little bit of weight in your heels, a little heaviness in your hips, okay? And then inhale, as you exhale, bring your fists to your hips, and you might sink a little bit lower down. And then inhale forward and up, you can rise a little. Exhale, fist to hip sinking slightly. I want you to feel your glutes here. So think of, as you inhale, pressing into your heels. And as you exhale and sink, press the heels a little apart, but keep the knees straight forward, okay? Let's do 3 more. Nice, powerful breaths here. One more. So good. Okay, stand on up. Release the hands around behind your back. Interlace the fingers or hook thumbs if that's more comfortable. Or you could use a strap here as well. Press the fist down, lift the heart up, tuck the chin in, and then gently lift it to the sky. Any amount. Next time you exhale, go ahead and fold forward. Bend your knees a lot. Let the fists rise behind you. If that's too much for your shoulders or your back, just bring your hands down. Okay, remember you can always have elbows on bent knees. If you're comfortable here, you could stay or bend one knee at a time. Maybe sway a little from side to side. So it's like a little massage here for the shoulders and the chest. So as I straighten my left leg, I'm just looking a little to the left. And then I straighten my right leg and do the same to the right. So nice. And then we'll come through center. Let the hands gently come down the backs of the legs towards the earth. Lengthen up halfway and then sit down onto the floor behind you. Maybe you're going to try that with no hands. See how it goes. And then roll all the way down onto your back. You don't have to overdo this, but maybe just trying without your hands. Feel free to use your elbows if you need them. That's totally okay. Okay, from here, I'm going to interlace the fingers around behind the back of the head. Inhale, and then as you exhale, just start by finding your pelvic floor, drawing it in and up. So that's the muscles around the genitals. And then scoop your belly button back and up towards your heart. So the core muscles are engaged before we load them up. And then lift up your legs so that your knees are bent, shins parallel to the earth, inner knees and big toes are touching. You can keep your head on the ground or lift it up, okay, if you're comfortable with that. Think of lifting from the abdominal muscles and just looking up to the sky. Keep squeezing the legs together. Inhale, lean the knees just past your hips. And then exhale and bring them back in. Good. Inhale, lean the knees just past the hips, keeping the shins parallel. And then bring them in. Good. Okay, keep pelvic floor engaged. Keep belly button drawing back and up towards the heart. Keep looking up to the sky. And breathe. Okay, if you want to add on a little bit, you can add a contraction at the bottom of the exhale. Try to lift the lower half though, rather than the upper half. You can do that too, but we're just a little more focused on the lower abdominals right now. Okay, we're not doing this with momentum, so don't swing your legs. It's more like just a little tuck, and it might not look like much, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be effective. You guys are doing great. Keep breathing. Take a break if you need to. We just want to work to that place where there's some fatigue. Maybe just leaning into that fatigue a little bit. Especially on a full moon, we'll squeeze out. Let's try 4 more. 3, 2, 1 more. If you've still got a little bit of juice left, curl in and hold, 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 release. Come on down, soles of the feet together, knees open wide. Nice big soft breaths into the belly. Just feeling your core, feeling your center. Perhaps feeling yourself in the process of letting something go. You don't even need to know with your brain what it is you're letting go. Trust that it's happening. Okay, nice work, you guys. Let's roll over onto one side. I'm on my left side right now. We'll have the knees a little bit bent, and I'm supporting my head in my hand. It could be resting on my arm or on a pillow as well, okay? Your neck should be comfortable. We've already got that nice stimulation into the core, so just keeping that very mildly engaged. Extend your top leg, point the toes, and take your fingertips out in front of you. We're gonna do a little circle. Really good. And then we're gonna circle the other way. Try to keep the hips level so they're not rolling around everywhere. Good. Okay, if you still got a little juice here, we're gonna bring the leg forward and up, down, and back. Forward, it doesn't matter how far you go, and up, down, and back. Keep the core engaged, hips level, forward and up, any amount. I don't care how high it is. I know this one's hard. I'm gonna try just for 2 more. Forward and up. Good, like a big L. One more. So good. And then, wow, relax. You can pat out that outer hip. And then take a hold of your foot with your hand. Point the knee down towards the bottom of your mat. Squeeze the bum, draw the tailbone down a little bit, and just get that nice opening into your quadricep and maybe into your shoulder as well. So you can just let that right shoulder, top shoulder, roll back a little bit. Really nice. And then release that leg, hug it in a little bit. Try to have the knee down. You can keep your other knee where it is. And then we'll just open into a little bit of a twist. Okay, take your time with this. If you feel you need to stack the knees, just go ahead and stack them. That's fine. Okay, from here, we're going to roll to the other side. So you might just lift your knees up and kind of roll onto your second side. I'm just going to flip around so you're not staring at my back the whole time we're doing the second side. So again, nice neutral back, supporting the head in your hand or on your arm. The core is very gently engaged, fingertips in front of you. Go ahead and point your toes, top leg goes straight, and we're circling. Yeah, not too big of a circle, and trying to just move from the hip. Yeah, you guys are doing great. And reverse the circle. We're doing about 8. Keep breathing. I know you're not exactly breathing with the movement. That's okay. So good. Okay, let's try to keep this going. Take a break if you need to. The leg comes forward and up, down, and back. Nice. Forward and up, any amount. So we're just trying to feel the outer hip working. Okay, we want to go slow enough that we can feel that, so it's not all about momentum. Really good. Stay with your deep breaths, just 2 more. Last one. Nice work. Good, you guys. And then relax, pat out that outer hip. Good. And then lift up the foot, hold on to it with your hand. Point the knee down towards the bottom of the mat. Tuck the tailbone a little bit and breathe. Let that top shoulder roll back a little bit, but keep the spine nice and long. Good. And then let the knee come down in front of you. You might want to stack your knees, that's fine. Just when this way we get a little bit of opening into that hip, and then just go ahead and twist open any amount. So take it slow. You don't have to go all the way to the floor. We're not going to be here too long. Just a little bit of a release along the outer hip and side body. Beautiful, you guys. Okay, from here, let's roll onto our bellies, and then we can adjust back through our downward facing dog. If you need a child's pose is great. You can also take your vinyasa from here. It might feel really nice, especially to take the little back bend after the core work. So I'm coming into upward dog here, and I'm just going to hold it for an extra breath, really lengthening the heart forward and up, legs super strong. And then back to downward dog. Take a couple of breaths just to breathe and feel. Okay, take your right leg up towards the sky. Roll the hips open, bend your knee. And then step through into a low lunge. So your foot comes forward, back knee comes down. For now, feel free to pat it if that's more comfortable for you. Take your left hand just off your mat, your right arm opens. You're in a nice open variation of a twist. Try to pin the bottom tips of the shoulder blades together and down your back. It sometimes helps me to turn the right palm towards my ear. Okay. And then opening the chest as you press the hips forward. Your front knee should stay over top of the ankle. If you're pretty comfortable here, you might try bending the back leg and seeing if you can reach a hold of it. If that hurts your knee, please don't do that. Okay, you might even come down to your elbow. Keep both feet active, breathe. Inhale, and then gently let go of your foot if you're holding it. Come back up to your hands if you're on your elbow. We're going to climb up to triangle pose from here. So you're going to pick up your back knee, step it in a little bit and turn the toes out to the side. As you carefully straighten the front leg, climb your right hand up onto the shin and reach the left arm open to the sky. Okay, just check in with your hips. So you want to have the tailbone pointing down. Hips are a little turned down, and then we're turning the chest open to the sky. That's it. Good. I've got a little bit of a bend in the front leg, and I'm not collapsed over my leg. My chest is relatively in line with my my pubic bone. Okay, and then just again opening the chest here. Okay, from here you can stay or take that top hand and reach it towards the back of your mat so the palm hovers over the hip. Again, hug the shoulder blades onto the back, tuck your chin in, and then see what it feels like to relax your head a little bit towards the earth. You might also turn the gaze down or up. That'll give you a little bit of a different experience. So see if you can kind of find the part of your neck that wants to release. Okay, you can keep working here with the neck soft, but see what it feels like to come into a half bind. So the left thumb turns down, and then you slide it around behind your back. You might get the hip crease with the fingertips. And then just try to roll your shoulder a little bit more onto your back, maybe with that little bit of a release in the neck. Okay, and then we can bend into the front leg and come into side angle. So look down. Let's just realign the neck for a moment here. Elbow can start on the thigh. You might want to lengthen your stance a little bit. Keep the half bind if it's working for you. If it's not, just release it, no problem. Keep the tailbone nice and long, turning the heart open to the sky. Maybe even bring your hand down on the inside of your front leg, pressing the elbow into the thigh, thigh into elbow. or even binding your arms underneath your thigh, linking the hands around behind your back, or behind the leg rather, the thigh. Beautiful. Inhale, and then gently look down. Unwind your hands if they're bound. Come onto the ball of your back foot and simply step up to the top of your mat. Lengthen halfway, exhale out your mouth as you fold. And just take a moment to let that go. So again, bending when knee at a time is great. Swaying or just being still. These are all great little releases. And then let's roll up if you can. So bend the knees, lean back into your heels, and really use your core. You almost want to think about this as a core exercise. So the abdominals are so active that the back can relax as you rise up. As long as that feels safe. Reconnecting to feet, to standing at the top of your mat. Shoulders down the back, just taking a moment to breathe and feel. Fidget if you need to. Okay, I'm going to show you a mudra before we go to the next one. It's called Prithvi Mudra, and it's very simple. You just take your ring fingernail into your thumb pad, and you want to press quite strongly as if you were about to flick. Okay, you're going to hold it there. The other fingers are straight. This one is amazing for balance when you're doing something asymmetrical, which we're about to. So take that mudra in your left hand, bring your hand to your heart. Okay, find your core, lean into your left foot, pick up your right leg and hold on to it with your right hand. Hug the inner thighs together. You're more than welcome to use a wall here if you're working on your balance. Okay, activate the toes. Draw tailbone down. Think of that quad stretch we did on our side earlier. Getting nice and long through the sides of the waist. Stay or sneak your right hand around to the inner arch of your foot so the palm faces out. Okay, bend your left leg a little bit more and start to kick your foot into your hand, coming towards dancer's pose. You can reach the left arm forward. Allow the right shoulder to move back as the heart stretches forward. Inhale, and then gently release the foot. Land it in warrior one, so towards the back of your mat. That's great. Widen the stance a little bit so heels are hips distance or so apart. Square the hips. Draw tailbone down. Press into that back leg. Reach your arms forward. Bring the palms together and just line up the hands so you can feel that your ribs are really squaring towards the front of the mat. And then you can interlace them except for your first one. Shoulders down, reach that up any amount. So it could be just a little bit, you might reach all the way up, but there shouldn't really be any tension in your neck here. Okay, imagine that the tailbone had a weight on it, so it's really quite heavy, and then the front body is light. Yeah, really good, you guys. So ideally, you're feeling the stretch kind of along the front of the back thigh, quad or psoas, that little bit of a theme today. Okay, inhale, and then gently release your hands, interlace them around behind your back. Straighten your front leg. You could absolutely hook thumbs or use the strap instead. Here, I know some of you are more comfortable with the strap. We're going to come into pyramid, but just nice and slow. So you might need to shorten your stance a little, widen it a bit, just make sure that you can comfortably square your hips forward. Okay, keep that back leg nice and strong. Hug the elbows together. Press the fist down, lift your heart up. Okay, keep squaring your hips forward. Don't overly straighten that front leg and just tip forward some amount. Don't feel like you're trying to go as far as you possibly can. Just go nice and slow. Press into the ball of the left big toe mound. Depending on where you are and how comfortable you feel, you might let the head relax and the fists rise, but keep the hips squaring towards the front, both feet nice and active. If this is too much, just bring your hands down onto blocks of the floor. That's totally okay. Inhale. And then gently release the hands and step back to downward facing dog. You can take vinyasa if you'd like here, or rest in child's pose. If there's something else you need, feel free to take that. Okay, so we're meeting in downward facing dog. Left leg is going to go up to the sky. You can roll the hips open as you like. We're coming into a low lunge. So step your foot forward, back knee comes down, pat it if you need to. Right fingertips are palm right off the mat, so quite wide, and we're opening the left arm to the sky. Both shoulder blades draw down the back, so imagine that your heart is kind of pulling forward, almost in a circle as if it could meet your back foot. And take that nice open chest. Okay, you can stay or we can reach for the back foot. I'm just going to give you a couple of my tips for doing that. One is really hips forward. You want to almost feel like you're trying to roll onto your thigh of the back leg and then bend the leg. You can reach for the foot and kind of see how that goes. So I find the lower I go, the more I'm kind of on my thigh bone rather than on my kneecap, and then my knee is okay with this. You can come down to your elbow or not. Left shoulder's rolling open. Thanks, you guys. You can also allow the left toes to turn out a little to the left. That's okay. So good. Inhale. Gently let that go. Release the foot, lift the hips back up, and we're going to climb up into triangle. Okay. So we're going to pick up the back foot, step it in, allow the heel to land. And we want the front heel roughly in line with the back arch, or heel to heel is okay. Left hand climbs up onto the shin. We still got that little bit of a bend in the knee there, and we're twisting the heart open towards the sky. And there is a little bit of a twist here, pelvis down, heart up, but we also want that long line of the lower spine. And the right arm up to the sky. I'm just going to turn around so that you can see me all right. Okay, so don't overly try to reach your toes or anything. That's not really our intention right here. Keep both sides of your waist nice and long, and then you could try reaching the top hand towards the back of the mat, palm down. Plug the shoulders again down the back, and then see how it feels to release some of the weight of your head. So it's like a passive stretch for your neck. It's letting the weight of your head do the work. And I find this one actually just feels so good. Okay, feel free to stay or try the half bind. So right thumb turns down, and then you slip the back of your hand around behind you, maybe reaching the fingertips into the hip crease. If this hurts your shoulder at all, skip it, of course. Okay, and then we'll try side angle. So you can look down, bring your elbow to your thigh as you bend the knee. I'm just going to lengthen my stance a little bit here. You're welcome to try keeping the half bind and see how it goes. And there's almost, for me, a bit of a feeling of pressing my lower back into my forearm and then rolling my shoulder again onto my back. You're welcome to stay, or maybe the hand comes down. It could come onto a block or the floor. If you're here, press the leg into the arm, arm into the leg. That'll help you turn your heart open to the sky. And if you'd like to try binding the arms underneath your thigh, feel free to try that. Just try to keep your heart open. For some people, the bind is great. For others, it's really challenging. Part of it is how long your bones are. Not even always about flexibility. Just something to keep in mind. Awesome, you guys. Let's take one more inhale. And then look down, unwind your hands, come onto the ball of your back foot, and gently step up to the top of your mat. Lengthen halfway, exhale, maybe out the mouth, fold. And again, just take a moment to reset. So bending one knee at a time, swaying from side to side, kind of seeing what your body needs. Stillness is great. Some bodies really work well in stillness. For me, depends on the day. And then we'll roll up, take your sweet time, finding again your core, generous bend to the knees. So that really helps take the work out of the lower back there. Finding standing. Collecting your shoulders onto your back, just reconnecting to ground. And then taking that Prithvi mudra. So my favorite translation of this is regaining trust after you've fallen. Mudra. Prithvi means earth though, okay? So you can take that ring fingernail into your thumb pad, bring it to your heart. Really press the fingernail into the thumb. Soften the knees a bit, really feel your weight kind of down into your legs. Lean right, bend the left leg, hold on to it with your left hand. Tailbone drawing down, pressing the foot into the hand, knee points down, glutes are engaged. And right now the spine is just neutral. We're not in a back bend yet. Okay, feel free to stay or slide your left hand to the inner arch of your foot. So the palm faces out. Bend your right leg, tip forward, and push your foot into your hand. The right arm might come forward, really press that ring fingernail into your thumb a lot. Keeping your gaze steady on something that's not moving. Try to keep your hips square to the earth. Inhale, and then gently step back. Warrior one. Yeah, hips square. Tailbone draws down, back leg is really nice and straight and strong. Reach the arms forward and draw the left half of the ribs forward so that the arms really get in line. And then you can interlace them except for the first one. And maybe try taking your other thumb on top so it feels weird. And then reach that any amount up to the sky. But imagine that your arms are lifting like from your psoas, from your hips. So it's not the squeezing of the shoulders, but the elbows are kind of hugging together. And it's a lift from the lower body. So I know that might seem a bit subtle, but just see if it can feel a little different for you. Awesome. Okay, gently release your arms. Straighten your front leg. You might need to shorten your stance a little bit or widen it. Interlace the fingers again, take your non-habitual thumb on top. So front leg is straight, but that doesn't mean locked. Hips are square. Hug the elbows together, press the fist down, lift the heart. So really getting that opening into the chest before you go anywhere else. Keep the hips square and just really slowly fold down. And feel free to stop anywhere along the way that feels safe, okay? So there's some hamstring opening for sure, some shoulder opening. You may or may not be able to kind of fold and allow your head to relax. And if you're feeling like your hamstrings are screaming or your shoulders are really unhappy, just bring your hands down to the blocks or the floor. Try to keep your hips square. Fists are rising, pulling the shoulder blades together, not collapsing over the head. Okay, inhale, and then gently release the hands down to the earth and make your way back to downward facing dog. Optionally, go ahead and flow through your vinyasa. Beautiful. And then let's come to our back. So you can come to your belly and flip over if you like, or you can walk your legs through. However you want to come onto your back is fine. I'm going to work with a little bit of back bending. So we've been doing lots of prep for this. So let's just kind of see how it feels here. So bridge, elbows by the ribs, fingertips point up to the sky. Feet are parallel, and I personally like outer hips distance apart. Elbows pressed down and apart, shoulders squeezed together. Engage the core, but don't tuck your tailbone. Just keep the back neutral. Lift your bum up. You can stay or interlace your fingers under you. Or a variation I quite like is grabbing the edges of the mat and pulling them apart. Okay, if your fingers are interlaced, press them into the earth. Push the floor forward. Hug the inner thighs a little bit together. Ideally, you want to feel that your belly is actually stretching a little. Okay, gently come down. Again, you don't have to tuck your tailbone. Just keep that core gently engaged and release and take a little rest. So we're going to take 3 back bends today. If you're already comfortable with wheel and you want to take it for your second one, you can. I'm going to do bridge a second time and then I'll talk about wheel. And something that I want to focus on here, and maybe we'll go up into it while I talk about this. So let's just find the feet again. Elbows to the mat, hug the shoulder blades together. And again, we're engaging the core, but not tucking the tailbone, just keeping it neutral. Press into the heels, rise up. You want your glutes engaged. You want to hug your inner thighs. There's almost a feeling of the inner thighs rolling inward, okay? Take your mudra, whichever one you're doing. I'm interlacing my fingers. And the feeling is that the ribs are trying to get away from the hips, and in between the entire cylinder of the core is stretching. So it's not, we're not crunching the lower back, we're keeping the lower back neutral, long, but there's almost like an internal stretch here. It's a little hard to explain. Let's gently release down and take a breath. Okay. Now, I'm just going to offer something here for those of you that do have a wall and you want to work with it. This is lovely if you have shoulder issues. I'm obviously not in the room with you, so if this doesn't feel safe to you, just skip it, okay? It can be really nice, though, when you're working with wheel. So for this one, you could take your blocks to the wall, and they're just on a little bit of an angle there. Kind of depends on the floor you have. What you want to do there. You can technically do it with the blocks just on the ground. It does make your arms longer, but this is really nice for the angle of the wrists, okay? You would put your head in between, and I'm not going to go up, but I'm just going to show you what the hands would look like. So I'm pretty close to the wall. I've got my elbows up, and my hands are kind of on the blocks, and the thumbs are down, okay? So you could play with that if you feel comfortable. Again, I'm not with you, so I can't really see what your blocks are doing, so we won't overly worry about that. Some of you have done that in person with me before. So just being aware that that's an option, it can really help if you have tighter shoulders. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to do bridge again or skip this all together. Otherwise, place the hands right beside your ears. Palms down, fingers pointing towards your body, hug the elbows together. And I've got my fingertips on the edges of my mat. I've also got my baby toes actually pretty much on the edges of my mat. I like a pretty wide stance here for myself. I'm gonna hug the inner thighs, draw belly in, and I'm gonna lift up some of the way, but not the whole way, okay? Because I wanna lower my hips a little, exhale, and push up onto the crown of my head. From here, I just wanna reset my hands, keep hugging those elbows together, feet parallel, and then I'm going to work the arms towards straight and try to find that same feeling as in bridge. The hips and the ribs long, relaxing the head. Hugging the inner thighs together and down. Breathing. Chin comes into the chest to come down, and we release. And taking soles of the feet together, knees open wide. I'm allowing my arms to go up towards the sky, and I'm going to slowly, lazily circle the hands. Okay, let's let go of the ujjayi for a few breaths. Just let the belly be really soft with breath. Okay, and then open the arms out into a nice T shape. And we'll take a twist. So I'm going to bring my feet to the floor, shift the hips a little to the left, and then I'm going to pick up my knees, bring them together, and twist from here. I often like to adjust by rolling a little to the side and then replacing my shoulder down because I quite like the opening in the upper back there. There should be no tingling in the hands. Feel free to put your hand on your rib or your hip if you're getting that. This should feel like quite a sweet twist, really nice after the back bends. And twists are really good also for helping us to release during the full moon cycle. Completing a particular journey, just wringing out the spine. Okay, and then gently engage the belly. We'll come back through center. So I like to bring in my top knee and then my bottom one. Hips move over to the other side, lifting up the knees, placing them. And again, for me, I like to actually just roll right over for a moment and then replace my shoulder on the ground. I find that just works for me. You can close your eyes. So I'd love for you to have like a deep, mindful breath, but it doesn't have to be ujjayi. By which I mean it doesn't have to be this really powerful core breath. It can just be a soft belly breath, but it should still be deep and conscious. Beautiful. Okay, when you're ready, come back to your center again. You can bring in your top knee and then your bottom one. And you might just want to take a moment to hug the knees in and rock a little from side to side. So for those of you that are feeling like the ground is magnetic, like you want to stay here, you can take thread the needle. Okay, so most of you guys know this one, just taking an ankle onto the opposite thigh, holding onto the back of the leg. It's just a nice simple hip opening. You can stay where you are. Those of you that still have a bit of energy to work out, we're going to do a hip opener, but you can come with me. So we're going to come from downward dog. And then with all that back bending, all that opening, you can take wild things. So the right leg lifts, and then you can drop it behind you, coming onto the outer arch of the left foot and opening the chest to the sky. Okay, and then back through downward dog, bring that right shin forward, and we're taking pigeon. Okay, so you can slide a prop like a bolster or even just one of your blocks underneath your hip. Press the top of the back foot down, lengthening, and then sinking to the elbows. You can also sit over onto your right hip and bend the back leg if you need to. Beautiful. Okay, those of you in thread the needle, you can gently release, shake out the legs, or take your windshield wipers. from pigeon, you can walk the back foot in a little so the right leg is free, send it back up to the sky. Give it a little shake. And then we'll come towards the second side, left leg up. And maybe wild thing. So you're dropping the ball of the left foot behind you. The knee is bent and points towards the back of the room. Right leg is straight. Left arm reaches over the ear. And then we return to downward dog and bring that left leg forward. Maybe a little prop underneath the hip. Press the top of that back foot down, lengthen. And when you're ready, you can fold onto your elbows or onto blocks, or not at all, which is fine too. If this is painful in the knee, of course, take thread the needle instead, or any shape that does work for you. Pigeon is one of those ones a lot of us really hate it at first and come to really love later in our practice. Okay, when you're ready to come out of the second side, releasing from thread the needle. Again, you can shake the legs out or windshield wiper. If you're coming from downward dog, just last time, pressing back, left leg can go up to the sky. And then we'll take one last shape to prepare for Shavasana. So that could be anything. Anything that is symmetrical and calming. An inversion that's symmetrical and relatively calming is shoulder stand. But what I'm going to offer is a nice simple forward fold here. I love ending with this one often. So you can sit up on your little prop, little cushion or something. Take the soles of the feet together, knees open wide in kind of a wide diamond. Roll the shoulders onto the back and then start with the neck. So chin drops and then roll the head really lazily from side to side. And just let your shoulders be kind of relaxed so they can be a part of the rolling. I've got my core just ever so slightly engaged just to keep my lower back comfortable and safe. But we can start to dip into it a little bit more. So feeling for where feels right for you. But you can kind of let your spine roll a little bit more. Maybe dip from your hips. And starting to kind of bring the stretch a little lower down towards the backs of the hips. And you might keep rolling if it feels good, just kind of walk over to one side and then the other, or you might come down through center and just be still for a few breaths. So again, you're welcome to close your eyes. It's not that this should look like any particular thing. It should feel good in your body and safe. Okay, and you work there just as long as it's serving you. When you're ready, gently roll up. Take fingertips behind you, bring the knees together, and you can take a couple windshield wipers. And then right into Shavasana. So set up your Shavasana however you like it. Put the bolster under your thighs or blanket over your body or nothing, or laying on your side, just whatever works best for you. To be comfortable, to allow your body to rest in a way where there's no effort. Okay, and it doesn't have to be laying on the back, just a place where you feel as comfortable as you possibly can be. When you get there, take a nice deep breath and receive. Take a moment to notice how you're feeling, acknowledging that maybe especially on the full moon, a longer Shavasana might be needed. And if you do feel ready to start to move, you can do that, deepening your breath and just bringing in some intuitive movements into your body. Eventually, you can curl over to one side. And then travel gently up to a comfortable seat. The hands could be together at the heart or over top or wherever feels right for you. And gently bow your mind to your hands, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge the moon, your breath, your practice, whatever it looked like or felt like today. To honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage that's with us when we are in our practice. And to honor the land that we practice on, wherever that may be in the world. Thank you for sharing your practice.